Welcome everyone to a very special episode of Brainstorm Brewery. It's special because it's episode 336. It is the War of the Spark set review. What? And it is very special because I have not one but two guests joining me tonight. First guest, the man you know from hundreds of episodes of this podcast where he's been a guest, Douglas Johnson. Say hello, Douglas.
Literally true. I've been on more than Corbin. I'm gonna be on more than Ryan and Marcel at probably some point. Probably already, but that's why we have an intern to run those numbers. But yes, I am Douglas Johnson, otherwise known as DJ. I'm a buyer on the GP circuit. I run my own personal card business, and we are a Magic the Gathering podcast, which is probably the best description you could give us.
Also joining us as a returning guest by popular demand. She did such a good job on the last set review. We got so many good responses to it. We brought her back from Team Lotus Box, 2018 Atlanta Team Open finalist. Cat Light, everybody.
Hi, thanks for having me. Super excited to be back, to be talking about all of the crazy new cards in the new set, and to do another set review.
Yep, you were definitely going to be able to rein us in, because I was sort of like, I don't know why Hydroid Crest is the most popular card in the set, and you kind of said, because it's like Muldrifter, but better, and I was like,
yeah. And turns out it was a pretty dominant card for a while in the format.
Yep, this is why you're here.
It's like Sphinx's Revelation with green mana.
And a body.
Yeah, but so is Shamanic Revelation, so... I am joined by another special guest, a listener, Dr. Yo-Yo, and a patron who went to patreon.com/brainstormbrewery for as little as $1 a month, which is 20 or 25 cents an episode. He has access to our Discord server. He sent me this beer from Mully's Brewery, actually in my wife's old stamping grounds out in Port Frederick, Maryland. This is called Fruit Tart. It is a Berliner Weiss, blueberry, blackberry, and raspberry. Very similar to Short's Brewery Soft Parade, which is like my lawnmower beer. So let's crack into this, and let's crack into this set. What do you folks say?
Sounds good to me.
So I just want to encourage people to send me beer. I will say your name, and I will say where you're from, and DJ will dox you. Like, it's... We're gonna send Dr. Yo-Yo some swag.
Hey, we have a very efficient doxing system on this podcast. I only give out email addresses. Corbin gives out physical addresses. that is the precedent. Let's stick to it.
Yeah, but we're very thorough. Between the three of us, we can very thoroughly dox somebody accidentally, and make them regret going to patreon.com/brainstormbrewery
to become a valued patron.
For as little as $1 a month, you can be doxed by us, and
you can find Corbin's address in the Discord just by scrolling up or control F'ing Corbin's address. So that's a handy tool that you get.
Where he says, "Yeah, you can have my address. I dare you to send me something weird," and then he was sent weird stuff.
I guess as long as it goes both ways, right? Is it really doxing if it's both ways?
That's a good point. That's just mutually assured destruction at that point.
Speaking of mutually assured destruction, the most sold rare or mythic out of War of the Spark is called Blast Zone. It is a rare land that is sort of a combination of Ghost Quarter and not Ghost Quarter, engineered explosives and any sort of waste colorless land. And it's just, you put some counters on it, comes in with a counter, and it blows up stuff. Why is this pre-selling for $6?
I think that this card is actually going to be pretty nuts in standard with how little land destruction there is and how you can pump it and basically customize it to whatever you want it to be. It's a great mana sink in the late game to get rid of like really hard to deal with threats like all of the Planeswalkers in the set. And I think that the fact that it's a land with Field of Ruin being the only land destruction spell in the set and only really going into very few decks, it's going to make it like a very, very powerful card. Maybe potentially seeing it like the Nexus decks for sure. And I think that it'll see some play in Modern. You have like Ghost Quarters, so you have some extra land destruction, but you don't really see it played very often.
It's probably easier to put counters on it because Wilderness Reclamation too. Like any sort of big mana stuff, a lot of the time you can just shrug off in standard. Like 19 mana, that seems unrealistic, but Wilderness Reclamation is a very powerful engine for instant speed mana generation.
Exactly. And it untaps. So you can put mana into it, and then Wilderness Reclamation will untap it so you can actually activate it. So it can be charged and activated in the same turn with Wilderness Reclamation, which I think it's going to be very powerful in Standard. So I think that actually $5 is actually kind of low.
So it's good you mentioned that, because I did a little bit of digging into prices about what they were pre-selling for and kind of what stuff now from the last set is doing. And I think Ravnica Allegiance was a little bit more of a top-heavy set than War of the Spark is going to be, and Ravnica Allegiance is not top-heavy by any means. There are only 11 cards over $5, and there are only 2 over 15.
And all the rares that are more than $5 are
it's
either
Breeding Pool, Stomping Ground, Blood Crypt, and
Shocklands plus Smothering Tithes, one of those being a Command Zone spicy pick. And so Blast Zone reads to me as a card where, like, if you are a Standard player, if you just want to own your set and not worry about it for the next 2 years because you value its utility, $20 for a playset on eBay is not the worst place to put your money for the set.
Yeah, because like I don't know how high it could go, because there's the most expensive card in the last set is $20. Like Crassus is 20, Kaya is 17, and Kaya was 5 at one point. And then the rest are Shocklands and Tithe, and then Seraph of the Scales, Vanifar, and Ooze, and then everything else is like $5 or less. Even like some rares we expected to maybe crest that $5 threshold, like Bedevil, didn't quite get there.
And even going back to, Guilds of Ravnica, again, it's Shocklands, Assassin's Trophy, and then you get down to the $5 mark of, like, Thief of Sanity and Risk Factor. So even those just, like, dipped down to $1 or two before they started creeping back up, so it has to have a lot of standard utility, but it's not the worst place to put your money, I'd argue.
So even if the set does get a little bit more spread out, like worst case scenario, Blast Zone probably goes to 2 or 3 if it's played at all. And if you pay $20 for a playset of a card that ends up a $12 playset, and you lose $8 over the course of like 6 months, there are way worse things that can happen than that.
Especially if it's a card that you actually really are going to get a lot of use out of. And I think it is a card that has a lot of use. I think it will also depend on the number of tokens decks, whether or not it's good, because it does enter with a counter, and there have been a lot of tokens decks lately. But I still think that with how many Planeswalkers there are right now, that it's going to be a very useful card that'll see play.
Next up,
an uncounterable way to... Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Next up is what would appear to be a commander-only card, being that it says if X is 10 or more in the text. But Commence the Endgame is... no, this isn't Finale, is it? Oh, I just read it.
No.
Oh, whoops.
No, it's a 6 mana. Yeah, you were thinking the Finale, which is fine, because they're both sort of cards that we went and like, it's probably bulky. This is the 6 mana uncounterable, draw 2 and a Mass X.
I agree that it's bulky. I think the only reason it'll see play is because it says can't be countered.
Yeah, this reads to me like an Aetherling, or like a control deck sort of finisher thing, where you just want something that will happen no matter what in the control mirror. But that doesn't mean that you... I mean, it's $1, right? So if you're gonna play some Esper control or whatever, you buy 2 of them and go on with your life. But it's just sort of like not a card you're like, oh, this is gonna be great, buy 30 of them. It might be great, but that doesn't mean it's gonna be worth money.
Yeah, so again, what we did was we went on TCG Player, we sorted by best-selling, so you're not going to get, like, the Planeswalkers right up top. I think you're going to get a lot more of the, like, $1 cards that are just, like, easy to buy a playset for $4. If, like, I might play that, might as well get it now while it's cheap, which is not a good strategy, because I think Commence the Endgame will be gettable for 50 cents a playset later. Or something like that. This will probably be end up being a bulk rare. So we're not going to talk too much about cards that are bulk rares, unless we think they could go up.
I don't think this is going to be a bulk rare. I think it will only see play in one shell, which is like a control deck. But it could. I think there are going to be several like control style decks, and it's also it also fits really well with the Amass theme, and Amass is everywhere in this set. And so I think the fact that it can't be countered. It comes with a body, it draws cards, makes it like extremely valuable in control decks, and becomes like I don't think it's another Torrential Gearhulk by any means whatsoever. But I do think that it's that finisher that Control's really been looking for. So I do.
So you think it comes in like as like a 5/5 draw 2?
Mm-hmm.
For 6 mana.
And there are so many draw spells in Standard right now, it could even be bigger than that. And then like Control Mirrors, where I think Control's gonna be really powerful in this set, and there's gonna be a lot of Control Mirrors, this card's gonna be really important.
Okay. So do you like it as pre-selling for $5 a playset?
This is where I'm not nearly as good as y'all are.
I mean, if you believe, like, Churchill Gearhulk was a 4 of, right? So if you think this is a 4 of, I think $1 a card is fine.
I don't think it's a 4 of. I think it's a 2 of. So I think $1. I think that I would buy this at $1 pretty quickly.
Cool.
All right.
Speaking of amass, I guess next up is Enter the God Eternals, one of the cards that previews the gods that Nico Bolas killed and then resurrected. Got Bantu and I think Kefnet there in the background coming in. 5 mana, blue-black, deals 4 damage to a creature. You gain 4 life. Then the target player mills 4, and then you amass 4. So there's a lot of 4s here. It's sort of Flame Tongue Kavu-esque with a lot of other things going on. It's pretty narrow.
It's like a bad Cruel Ultimatum, almost.
Yeah, it's just got a little bit of everything. You can mill yourself, you can mill them, you can make a 4/4, you put 4 counters on an already existing guy, kill a creature, gain some life. It's got a little bit of everything. What do we think about at $2? Is there a deck for this? Is this like a 4 of? Is there a blue-black mid-range or a mass deck?
I really don't. I keep seeing this card in lists, like on articles and stuff. I think this card is really overrated. It's first of all, it's a sorcery. If it was an instant, maybe. It's a sorcery. What control deck or like blue deck really wants to be tapping out? It doesn't kill a lot of like major threats. Like there's a lot of X5s in the format, and I think that it just like doesn't.
It doesn't say creature or planeswalker too.
Yeah, it's just target creature. Yeah. The milling is kind of useless, and the amass 4 is like, I think it's trying to do a lot of things and does all of them kind of poorly, and it's really clunky, and the mana cost sucks.
Right. Next, Jason might crucify me for the pronunciation on this, but is it Dreadhorde Arcanist or is it Arcanist?
I've heard it both ways.
Okay.
I would say Arcanist.
I think it's Arcanist because it's like a vowel and then a consonant and then another vowel. That should make it a long vowel.
Look at you knowing rules.
Yeah.
I think it's Arcanist.
So 1/3 with trample. It's 2 mana and red. When it attacks, you may cast an instant or sorcery in your graveyard with a converted mana cost less than or equal to its power. And then if that card be exiled or put in your graveyard, you exile it instead. So potentially a repeatable Snapcaster. If you can sort of keep this thing alive and also increase its power multiple times. Probably seems better in an aggressive show where you're flashing back burn spells or removal spells or stuff of that nature. But it's pre-selling at $5, which is seems aggressive.
I think that's very high.
Yeah, this reminds me of like a Harsh Mentor kind of thing where everybody got really hyped after they read some words and then it didn't actually pan out the way everyone thought.
There's only one non-mythic rare above $5 in the last set, and that's Smothering Tithe, which is going to go in every single white EDH deck for the rest of time. I think this... I don't know if this card's good or bad, but I don't like it at $5, certainly.
There was a card in a Moncat that did something similar, where it's like it had... oh, crap. Everyone was freaking out about
that's
it.
That's what I said, Harsh Mentor. Yeah.
No, it wasn't Harsh Mentor. It was another one where it attacked, and it had the ability where it drained if you blocked it, and if it dealt damage, you got to cast an instant or a sorcery for free.
Oh, the promo, yeah. That was like a 5 mana guy, yeah.
Well, it was like 2 or 3 mana. I think it was 3 mana.
No, it was like 4 or 5. It was only a 1/3, I think.
Why am I not just looking up the card and solving this argument?
Yeah, I'm like, that's what I'm about to start doing now. It was some sort of like jackal.
So are you...
That's some aggressive typing.
Are you typing on your... Oh, I thought that was DJ. Now I feel bad.
Wildfire Eternal?
Yes.
So it was 4, and it was a 1/4, but it had a flicked 4, which is really relevant. And you could cast any card without paying its mana cost when it attacked and wasn't blocked. And I felt like this card had like a bunch of hype and was completely unplayable.
Yeah.
It was awful. I tried so hard to make this card work, and it was so bad. And I think that this is one of this card's also, even though it's just 2 mana, it's still just a 1/3. Like, maybe you could see it in like the heroic, like there's a potential heroic deck in this set. And so maybe it's relevant in there. But I just think unless it's in something where like you're using pump spells, not actually burn spells, so that it's like so that its power is higher and that the trample is actually relevant, it's just not going to see a lot of play.
But you could cast a pump spell, then recast that pump spell for free, so you get like
yes,
double pumps. Because there's that one that's the Samet's pump spell. I don't think that's good. I think this is a lot of work to make it.
Yeah, I think it requires some work to make it good, but I think it in the if there's a heroic deck, it could be good in that. But I don't see it. I think $5 for a card for it is ridiculous.
Spark Double is a clone with clone's mana cost.
You can't clone their stuff.
But yeah, I was gonna say, but you can only clone your stuff. But you can clone a Planeswalker, and then if it is a creature, it gets an extra counter, and if it's a Planeswalker, it gets an extra loyalty, and those permanents aren't legendary, so you can clone your Planeswalkers, you can clone your legendary creatures, and it's a $2 clone. We've seen every clone variant known to man coming up for the past few sets, and every set for the past 25 years. What makes this one different, better, or worse?
I think this card's very hard to evaluate. Because it's clones for creatures, in my opinion, have historically not been very good. But it's the fact that this one can... It just depends on how good the Planeswalkers are in the set.
It feels almost win more to me, but...
Yeah, I think so too, because if they have a big creature and you have an empty board, you clone their big creature and then all of a sudden you're back at parity. If you're behind, this doesn't do anything. This ripped off the top when they have a creature and a Planeswalker and you have nothing is terrible.
Yep, if it could copy their stuff, I'd be really about it. But it can't, so it kind of sucks.
Well, it makes me think that it was too good if it could do that.
I do agree with that.
So if it was too good with a slightly different wording, did they go too far weakening it? And I don't think at $9 a playset I want to take that risk.
Nope.
No, yeah, it's nope. Karn's Bastion though is a $4 land. I don't like this card at all. It is personally, it's a colorless land. Comes in untapped, and you pay 4 and tap it to proliferate. I feel like there are a lot of different engines to proliferate throughout Magic in both Commander, Standard now, and just everything, and this is a lot of mana to dedicate to a colorless land. I get that lands generally cost more, but I think you want to use your land utility somewhere else other than this.
And people are like, oh, my Atraxa deck wants this. I'm like, yeah, dude, you know what I love in my 4-color deck? Colorless lands.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree with that. If I'm going to pay for and proliferate, it'll be because I've got, like, Contagion Engine or something. So,
yeah, I don't really seeing any eternal play. I think in Standard, it's, like, there are a lot of counters in Standard, but there's so many better ways to, like, proliferate and get counters. And
like putting Karn's Bastion into play and then triggering Evolution Sage is better than paying for and tapping this.
Yeah, exactly. I
think this could be, like, a one of in Standard. Just as like a sort of a late game mana thing similar to the Wrath one, but this one's much more narrow and it's just sort of like a 60th card kind of thing, maybe.
I would just so much rather have Arch of Araska.
That's fair.
Yeah, like a lot of the Planeswalkers are multicolored too, so like you're probably a 3-color deck if you're playing any number of Planeswalkers.
Yeah, and it's just like I really don't like it. There's so many other utility lands that I would rather have, and I just don't think, even with all the Planeswalkers and how hard it is to evaluate the set, I just don't think this card does enough.
Don't buy it at 5. Trade it away or pre-release for other cool stuff.
Yeah, and there would be people that, like, they're going to show up and they want one.
Yes.
So if this is your foil, don't take it home. Get rid of it at the pre-release.
Agreed.
Vivien's Arkbow is a card that's sort of reminiscent of, like, I want to say, like, a weird mix of Genesis Wave and Green Sun Zenith or something like that, but I don't personally like this card very much, but it's 1 in a green for a legendary artifact. Pay X, tap it, discard a card, look at your top X cards. You may put a creature with a converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield, put the rest on the bottom. This feels very not great for me.
I think it's a very good sideboard card in Standard.
Okay.
It's if you land this on turn 2 against control decks and they can't really deal with it, you're just going to win the game.
That's
because they can't counter anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it is going to be super it has potential to be super powerful out of the sideboard. I don't see it being played in any main decks, but I don't see it being played in any Eternal formats. You just have way better.
You know what I just thought of? If your removal is bad against control, but you would just
you just discard it and get rid of it. But like that's a good if you don't have enough things to sideboard out, or you need to keep removal in for like they bring in like Lyras and things like that. You can, if it's not relevant right then, you discard it and you can turn it into a creature, which is awesome.
but it's not $4 good. Like, I can totally see this being a bulk rare sideboard card. Still being playable in that context, just don't buy it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Wait like 3 weeks or a month or 6 months.
I can see why this is popular, but it's not like one of those cards where it's sold out at $4.
Yeah,
because like a lot of these cards appear to be at their first price. Sometimes stuff sells out and then they price it higher and it sells out again. They price it way higher. That's how stuff gets to like $20. But like, I don't really see anything in the best selling doing that. So that leads me to believe everything was just at its original price, and a lot of those are guesses.
Dreadhorde Invasion was the first card with a mass we saw, I believe. And it sort of reminded everyone of Bitter Blossom at first sight, where it's at the beginning of your upkeep. You lose 1 life in a mass 1, but you only get 1 token and grow that token over time. And then if a zombie token you control with 6 or greater power attacks, it gains lifelink. So you get some of that life back. But it takes a very, very, very long time to pay off to that point. Pre-selling at $2, you could theoretically get multiples of these in play and speed up the tempo of that, but I am not a huge fan.
I think that everyone who calls this card Bitter Blossom needs to learn to read.
Yeah.
More like Shitter Blossom, am I right?
I really don't want to laugh at that, but wow. I think this card is... I keep saying I'm like S4s and a bunch of like a mass list and control list, and I just like don't think it's actually going to end up being that good because...
This is going to wreck my face at the pre-release.
Oh yeah, I think it'll be very good and limited. And I think that in the right amass shell, it could be fine. If amass made a new token, like it was like even a bunch of little 1/1s that weren't flyers, it would be fine. I think the fact that it just keeps building up the same creature makes it really bad against spot removal, and standard is very much about spot removal.
Yeah. I wish amass let you pick. You can either put a counter out or make a new one.
I think that'd be really cool. I totally agree. But it's like, I'm not a huge fan of this card.
That's probably another thing where they like, that's how it worked initially to add to the flavor of building a zombie horde, then it was way too good probably, right?
Potentially, yeah.
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm just not a really big fan of this card.
So Dreadhorde Butcher is another one where Magic players really like to make callbacks to cards that they feel new cards feel similarly to. The previous one was Bitter Blossom, and this one reminded a lot of people of Sliths. Dreadhorde Butcher, 1 black, 1 red, and haste for a 1/1. When it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, it gets a counter, but when it dies, it deals its power to any target as damage. So people were reminded of Chrome Mox days when you could just start ticking the clock early with a 1/1 haste on turn 1 before they can react. But
that was Ponza, man. That was and the one with haste was the only playable one. You know, of all the lists in that cycle, the 1/1 haste for 2 red was the only playable one.
Yeah, and that was in a format, again, with Chrome Mox, where you could just, like, get it out there.
Well, that was in a format with 3 mana land destruction, which is why that deck was good. You turn 1 Chrome Mox Slith, turn 2, like...
Well, there were other decks that played...
their land.
There were other decks that played Slith, though, right?
Not really.
Okay.
I could be wrong about that, but all I remember was that Ponza deck, which was very fun.
I did not play during those times.
Grandpa Jason.
I was on blue-green at that tournament. Turn 1 Bird of Paradise, turn 2... What was it? Troll Ascetic, and then you put a GT on it, and they're like, this is bullshit.
Yep, that sounds like bullshit to me.
What, I got a turn 3 Shroud creature with a GT on it that you can't kill? What? What's the big deal? And it has Regenerate?
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Those are good times.
I think Dreadhorde Butcher, I think that there's some cards that can like enable like an aristocrat style deck, and this card could be good in it, but I think with Judith it makes it better. There are a lot of cards that can make it good, but I don't think we're gonna see it in like a tier 1 deck.
Cool.
If this did end up really good, Judith could have upside at $2 though. But
that is true.
Yep.
But I personally don't see it.
People on Arena will be trying that a lot.
That seems really cheap to build on Arena.
Yep. Tomek, Distinguished Advocate, is the next one. He is very, very cheap pre-selling already, and I think that's for good reason. He's a very, very niche card for legacy purposes, mostly, and other Eternal formats. They said they designed him with Standard in mind as an aggressive flying creature to be able to beat down Planeswalkers. But I don't see this as a reason to buy it at I mean, again, this is
the most aggressive hate bear ever printed.
Yeah, it comes with a caveat.
Like, it has really good stats.
It comes with a caveat of, like, if you were planning to play this deck already, buy your playset for $3, because why wouldn't you? There's very little room for it to fall. But this is definitely a red flag to not buy 80 copies of, thinking that it'll be amazing. This card reminds me of, like, what's the Dominaria Lord, the white Goblin Chain Whirler?
Vanillish Marshal?
Yeah, this card reminds me of that card's price trajectory, where it's like, even if it crushes a Pro Tour, it's still $1, maybe. Yeah. So,
yeah, I agree. It's very...
I mean, Vanillish Marshal hit like 3, so it like doubled barely.
And then you had to buy list them for $1 after you bought them for $1, yeah.
Yeah.
So Tomek is that. He's cool, but that's, yeah.
I'm really aggravated about him being in Legacy because I play Depths, so that's really annoying.
Oh, Life from Alone is like one of my favorite cards.
And it turns off Thespian Stage, it turns off everything.
Yeah.
It's got, I mean, people are playing Sarah Ascendant. Like, this seems really good in that spot.
People are going to get blown out by this having flying, right? Because it doesn't look like it flies.
Nope. Yeah. It definitely doesn't look like it flies, that's for sure.
Yo, if you fly, why are you just standing on a building, dick? Holding papers.
It's like why do they always make humans flying? Like, it's a human. Stop making it have flying. That doesn't make any sense. It's like Mantis Rider. Why does Mantis Rider have flying?
Because he's riding a mantis.
But at the same time,
why do you
have to have your 3/3 haste for 3 have flying?
Mantises don't fly also. No, do they? Do they?
Humans don't fly till they're dead, says Kat.
Yeah, that's right. Only spirits get to fly.
Mantis Rider's got to fall off that mantis, die, and then come back as a ghost.
And then it gets to fly, and only then.
Man, I'm getting some really good segues here, because speaking of spirits, the next card is Ugin the Ineffable.
What does that have to do with spirits?
He's a spirit dragon.
A spirit dragon, Jason.
He's ineffable.
But he's still the spirit dragon.
That's a different Ugin. That's the Ugin I like more than this one.
Effable you.
I am effable. I get that.
Oh.
I'm not ineffable like this guy.
Ugin the Ineffable, 6 mana, colorless spells you cast cost 2 less to cast, so reminiscent of Eye of Ugin there. +1, exile the top card of your library face down and look at it. Create a 2/2 colorless spirit token. When that token leaves the battlefield, put the exiled card in your hand. -3, destroy target permanent. It's one or more colors. This is one of the rare planeswalkers with a static ability. This is the best-selling planeswalker from this set so far, according to TCG Players Metrics. Which sort of makes sense, especially considering the whole bracket poll that Wizards of the Coast hosted. Ugin is headed to the finals at the moment of that, so I think a lot of players really like Ugin as a character, as a colorless utility planeswalker that fits into basically any casual shell. What do you think for Standard?
I think that Ugin is very powerful in Standard. There's a lot of, especially in like a Grixis shell, actually, I think it could be really good. I think that because it's colorless, it protects itself. It adds card advantage, and you get to advance the battlefield, which is like, you're just doing a lot on this planeswalker.
Yeah, it's almost like a +1 draw 2, because it gives you a dude and it gives you a card.
Exactly. And then you also, if you can get rid of other planeswalkers, you can get literally anything that's not a land. I think this card is extremely good. I don't know exactly how it's going to be played, because I think its static ability is also powerful, but I'm not sure how powerful it is in our current set, or like the current cards in Standard. But I do think that this card is going to have C-play for sure. I think at $8 it's actually pretty reasonable. I think Teferi had the same thing where it has card advantage and it could protect itself, and it had a reasonable mana cost. And this one also just has a static ability, so I think $8 is actually fine.
And this actually isn't relegated to a specific color combination like Hydroid Crassus or Teferi also.
exactly.
So I think maybe it's even its high mana cost. I think the fact that it's no colored mana could mean that
this is going to get sucked up by a lot of Commander players too. I mean, Ugin, regular big Ugin from Fate Reforged, who has never seen a reprint until his Mythic Edition, is like over $60 himself retail. I mean, we buy it for $50 buy list. So I mean, Ugin is a very popular creature, and he's just going to like character, I should say, not creature, but yeah, he's gonna be well loved and purchased. And then next up is Sorin.
Is it a buy at 8?
I think it's a buy at 8 if you're like, I need one for my commander deck, and you don't want to lose $1 billion. As the supply enters the market, I think it goes to 5 at like the minimum, maybe 6. But I mean, I think you're low risk here. I don't. If you're like, I need some Ugins, I don't think this is the worst card to buy immediately.
This set's real weird because we used to talk about Planeswalker tax, about how like Kaya was 25 pre-sale. We're like, this isn't a $25 card, and it hit 5, sure enough. But then it went right back up to 17 when they were like, oh, okay, this card's amazing. So we're not really seeing the Planeswalker tax because the second most played Planeswalker or most bought Planeswalker in the set on TCG Player is a $3 card, Sorin Vengeful Bloodlord.
Well, that's also because they're rares, right? I mean, they're not.
Sure,
they're not
mythics, and there are a lot of Planeswalkers. So like. It's the effect is attenuated by being on half the cards in the set. It just seems interesting that it's going to be a little bit tougher to predict, and I don't really anticipate that many cards above $10. But we also don't have shocklands that are guaranteed $10 when you open them. It's just like, okay, that's a 10 spot right there. So without that effect, we're going to have probably 10 cards over $5, and I think Ugin's one of them, but. I don't know if this goes from... It didn't go from 25 to 5 back up near 20. It's not going to do that because it's only starting out at 8, so...
I think that the fact that it's a rare will definitely drop it. I think the fact that they're also... The PT isn't standard, and we kind of have to, like, wait. Opens don't always really dictate price as well as, like, the PT does, and we're just not going to have a standard PT. Really makes it kind of hard. I don't know. I feel like we're not going to have cards spike as hard.
I agree with that.
But it's just the mythics in the set really aren't as flashy either.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
They're really like Godsire type mythics where they're like good, but they're not ubiquitous. They're just like they're not big.
Fairy.
They're big 10 mana X spells, yeah.
Yeah, because you got a whole cycle of the finales first of all, then you got the cycle of the God Eternals. So with those out of the way, you got 5 more mythics total in the set.
And 3 of them are Planeswalkers in Gideon, Liliana, and Nico Bolas.
Yeah.
What are the last 2 mythics?
I don't remember. Why would you ask a question like that in Derailus? How dare you? So yeah.
I don't know.
So, like, there are gonna be some cards that are around $20 in this.
Well, Tezzeret's buy a box.
Oh, my bad. Nope. Niv Mizzet and Rolesk.
Oh, yeah, the random Simic creature they just sort of threw in there.
I mean, I like Rolesk, actually. I'll probably build that deck. I'm back on the Simic train. I was Team Orzhov for one set. Vannifar made me so mad. I'm like, Teysa's a Simic card, Vannifar isn't. This is BS, but I'm back. So I think in that range of like between $20 and $5, we'll probably see a couple Planeswalkers that are not mythic, because I don't think with the mythics in this set there are going to be too many over $5.
Yeah, and this will be an interesting set for learning about future sets depending on how they design them, and like a lot of what we do is educated guesses based on the past historical trends of sets that have come before us, right? Like none of us are Wizards employees who are actively tracking data or planning on specific cards, or like none of us are designing cards or doing any sort of like work to guarantee that sets work a certain way, right? So like I like it when a set is just completely bucks the trend and like this is brand new uncharted territory, because then 4 years down the road we can look back at the set and be like, well, War and Spark work like this, and this is a corollary for when they do like I don't know, like 36 enchantments matters, or like, you know what I mean, like some brand new crazy thing that has a corollary to Planeswalkers being heavy set mechanic. And Like, we can look back to War or Dragon's Maze, even though it was a garbage set, and be like, well, this is the set that designed the Voice of Resurgence effect. This is the set where it was pure garbage, and we'd never seen that before since Homelands or whatever, from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, we weren't expecting a $45 Mythic just by virtue of nothing else in the set being worth anything, and, like, a box having to be worth something.
Yeah, so I like War of the Spark, even, obviously it's a great set, it's really cool, it's Avengers-themed, it's, everything about this set is super cool from the flavor and powerful cards, but I also like it from a data-driven standpoint of, like, I can't wait to look back in 3 years and see what this happened with this set.
Yeah.
Bit of a tirade, but
I mean that's why people listen to this episode. What we think about the specific cards doesn't matter as much as, like, what to do about the set as a whole. And I think we'll get into that a little bit later. We're not going to do too many more of the best-selling cards once we start getting all the cards being sort of samey. But we're at a $3 Planeswalker, a $3 rare Planeswalker, Sorin, Vengeful, Bloodlord, 2 colorless, white, black, 4 entering loyalty. Static ability is, as long as it's your turn, creatures and Planeswalkers you control have lifelink, which is solid. His +2 is Sorin. Deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and his -X is return target creature card with converting mana cost X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That creature is a vampire in addition to its other types. Those all seem like pretty solid abilities.
I agree. I think that the first thing I thought was, like, when it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, was it can get Teferi off the board while also sticking around. So that's just, like, the first thing I thought of. I also think that, like, going up to 2, going +2ing, and so that you can go up to 6 the next turn, you can return, like, a 5 or 6 drop, is actually, like, really pretty powerful. And I think that it pairs really well with the new Gideon.
Yeah, because he's just a 4/4 lifelinker.
Yeah, he's just a 4/4 indestructible lifelinker. And I think it, like, pairs well, and I think it looks really good in a lot of, like, the token shells. Like, probably, like, Abzan tokens would play it. I think this card's going to see play. It's just kind of like a nice planeswalker for tokens and creature decks.
I don't hate this at $3. I think if it's playable at all, it'll be a $5 or $6 card.
Yeah, for sure. This seems like a week 1 white weenie. Somebody buys, like, 4 Gideons, 4 Sorins, jams in a billion other cards in History of Benalia, and something happens.
Yep. I completely agree with that.
And even if that's not sustainable long term, it's the second best-selling Planeswalker, and it's the best-selling Planeswalker that isn't, like, a Planeswalker that Planeswalker collectors are going to buy in principle.
I mean,
so this seems like...
I think it is. This is a Planeswalker that Planeswalker collectors will buy in principle, because it's Sorin and it's a vampire.
Yeah.
Like, we were at the point 5 or 6 years ago where it's like, I collect every Planeswalker, and now there's people who are like, I collect every Sorin.
Yeah, because you can no longer collect every Planeswalker.
So people are honing in on their specific favorite Planeswalkers because there are a quantity of different variations to support it.
Sure, and I don't think that's enough of an effect to make it the second best-selling Planeswalker, outside of someone seeing this and being like, wow, I can only add a little black to my weenie deck, and, you know, a -3 to get back a Benelish Marshal or something like that seems pretty strong.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it'll see playing, like, the white weenie decks, or you'll see, like, the black-white Knights deck come back.
I'm calling this a buy at 3.
I like it. I can agree.
I like it too.
This is a card where it's perfectly fine to buy at 3, and it's definitely a card you want to trade for at the pre-release. So, I mean, I don't think there's too many other cards specifically going down this list that I wanted to talk about as a whole that we haven't already really covered with just the Planeswalker discussion and just the fact that they're best-selling cards. But is there anything, Kat, that stood out to you that we haven't seen yet in the preview list?
So I think the new Gideon is really good. I don't know what it's selling at, but I think it'll see a lot of play in Standard, and I think that card's just, like, overall, like, a very good card.
Gideon Blackblade is currently pre-selling for $15, so that is sort of like the average, I guess, of what we've seen Planeswalkers start to sell for in the past couple.
That's kind of... Yeah, in other sets, that's actually very cheap for a Mythic Planeswalker. When you had Kaya pre-selling at 25 because there weren't.
Yeah, we saw Kaya, we saw, like, Domri, we saw a lot of lackluster, not so great Planeswalkers pre-selling for 15, and those are the ones that sat on my buy mat at $1. Like, Dovin Bond was pre-selling for 10 or 15 or whatever, but didn't go anywhere. So, I mean, seeing Gideon pre-sell for 15 and having somebody who's good at recognizing Magic cards praise it, I mean, I don't fault you for buying this, spending $60 in pre-selling.
Could this be the most expensive card in the set?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so, pretty easily.
And if it is, then it's a $20 card.
Or
Yeah.
20, or like 25, 30 that we could really. I mean, like we had Hydrate Crisis on our buy list for 26, 29.
It peaked at 40.
Yeah.
It's 20 now, but it peaked at 40.
Yeah, I think Gideon's definitely a card that's gonna see a lot of play. And that will go up.
Having a static ability that's guaranteed value I think is very strong.
Yeah, and it pairs really well with a lot of the other planeswalkers and a lot of like the archetypes that are already really powerful in standard.
Yep.
I think another card I really like is Liliana, Dreadhorde General. Everyone was kind of freaking out about her. I think she actually is extremely good.
That Barter and Blood effect is nasty.
Yeah, it is. She like draws cards. She just has so much play to her and so much value. And basically, when you're looking at, in my opinion, like looking to evaluate like cards like Liliana, you look at the other 6 drops in that slot right now. And you have like Carnage Tyrant and Vraska, and I think she's just strictly better than Vraska, and I think she's actually just better than Carnage Tyrant.
Whew.
And she kills Carnage Tyrant.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Like, she's just so good.
So, I mean, Gideon's pre-selling
Because when you have all the removal, that's the thing, you start removing their small creatures.
Yeah, like,
that you can actually save some removal because you don't have to kill everything if you get it down to just the Carnage Tyrant and like one other thing.
she's just so good. She kills opposing Carnage Tyrants, then you get to follow up with your own, and she generates so much value. I think she's extremely good.
So
I think that she'll see a lot of play.
Gideon's pre-selling for 15. Liliana's pre-selling for 18. I am much more of a fan of buying 4 Gideons instead of 4 Lilianas. If you are looking at just like, I have $100 to throw at War of the Spark cards just to gamble and see what happens. I like 4 Gideons more than 4 Lilianas, especially because Gideons, you want to have this card on turn 3, right? You're like, this is my 4 Gideons.
You're gonna run 4 Gideon.
You probably run 2 Lilies if that.
Yeah. Compared to like the 6-mana Vraska, and who like pre-sold for a solid amount, I don't remember exactly, but she is not that much now, but she still played in a lot of decks, and I think that, or she's played in all the like the Sultai mid-range decks and the green-black, and she was constantly seeing play. I think Liliana will still constantly see play, but I think it'll only be like 1 or 2 of, and it'll only be in like,
it'll be more of a role player
specific
instead of a defining archetype. Or
exactly.
The definer of the archetype.
Exactly, but I think she is very good.
So I have a bet with our intern at the moment. He was very, very wary of missing out on Karn the Great Creator. He felt like it was going to be a 4 of Intron. He's very, very high on this card, and we had a bet going where 1 month after War of the Sparks release date, if Karn the Great Creator is pre-selling, or not pre-selling, I guess at that point, but if it's selling for higher than $15, then he wins the bet, and if it's under that, then I win the bet, because he felt the need to snap off pre-selling these at 15. I'm feeling pretty good about this, but what do you think?
I don't think Karn will actually be played in Tron. I talked to Annalise Faustino about it, who's like an avid Tron player, and she said that it's not probably not, but I do see it being played in War Prison, because he basically becomes extra copies of every single artifact you ever want to go get.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think it'll definitely play in War Prison, and a lot of people's like sideboard plans against the Snaring Bridge are like Thoughtseize it, Surgical Extraction it, and Karn kind of just tells them to go F themselves. And so like I just see it like going around a lot of like the hate for like the prison decks, and so I see it being really good in that specific archetype in Modern. I'm not really sure in Standard where it's gonna see play. I don't think it's better than the current Karn we have for Standard. I'm not really sure what shell it'll be seen in, but I do see it being played in Modern, and specifically the War Prison deck. I don't think it'll be played in Tron.
I don't think it hits more than $16.
I don't either.
No, there's no way.
I think at $9 it's kind of expensive for this card.
It's not mythic. Like we're debating whether the mythic planeswalkers can maintain 15. It's gonna be so tough for a rare.
Yep.
I don't think this card should
to
be
even
bought.
break 10. Yeah.
I don't think this card should be bought at $9. I don't think this card is going to see that much play. I kind of hope I'm proven wrong, because I think the card's really cool, but I just don't see it seeing that much play.
Yep.
So good news, intern. You didn't pay $9, so that's good.
Oh, the wager, I might add. The loser has to draw a detailed picture of Karn. Neither of us are good artists. They have to draw a detailed picture of Karn and then post it in the Discord to judge and be ridiculed.
Nice.
So on 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, put some effort into it. No like stick figures or anything. You gotta draw your best rendition of your choice of Karn art, and then yeah.
So you have to give it your best, just have your best get shit on.
Yes.
I think you should have to eat a ghost pepper or something, but hey, drawing a picture, that's super humiliating and painful also, so. Good bet, guys. Solid.
So I'm trying to think of other cards I really liked. Oh, I think that...
Tell me about Bolas's Citadel. What do you think of that?
I think that's an Allian Trazi special card, and that is the only person that will play it.
But a lot of people are going to see that deck and be like, I'm going to buy all those cards.
Yeah, I don't think... That's just like Lich's Mastery. It's just like one of those cards. I think it'll be really fun, and I hope Ollie breaks it and like makes it really, really cool, but I don't think it's going to... No one but Ollie will do well with it.
I called it Bad Nauseum when I first saw it.
I like that. Bad Nauseum. It's a good one. I do think that Oath of Kaya is a really good card.
Yeah.
I think that card's actually...
I read that card and I had to like read it again.
Yeah, I think
any target
really pushes Esper control like over
any
the
target.
edge.
Oath of Chandra is crying right now. Any target.
Yeah, that's true. But I think that card's just like actually nuts, and we played like 3 to 4 of them and all the Esper control decks. It really is, and it also just protects all of your planeswalkers, and it's some sort of like Esper Super Friends build. Like it's an oath that then protects your Teferi.
Yeah.
Like I think the card is extremely good.
That Gideon Sorin list we were just talking about is Yeah,
I could potentially play this card. You'll see it in like Esper decks. I think that, especially because you have I think the combination of Augur of Bolas and Oath of Kaya literally makes it so, like, I hate playing control decks. I will probably play Esper Control week 1.
Oh, man, Augur of Bolas is, like, one of my favorite cards to play in Standard.
I think Augur of Bolas is going to be one of those, like, cards that just, like, define Standard.
I miss playing that so much.
Well, Oath of Kaya is a buck.
I think that
Do we see it in more than one deck?
No. But you could see it in like White Knights, but I don't think so. I think you're really just going to see it in Esper Control.
I think this is a card where you're content buying it at $1, but you're not specking on it hard.
Yeah, I wouldn't spec on it, but I would pick them up at $1 for sure.
It's just a have it week 1 kind of thing, and maybe release weekend Esper Control is huge and it goes to 3, and then you get to trade out your playset for 10 or 15. But that's sort of the best case scenario, and then you buy it back again later for $1.
Yeah.
How about Solar Blaze?
I don't know what that card is.
What does that card do?
Each creature deals damage to itself equal to its power.
Oh,
it's a 4-mana
Boros
Wrath,
the Boros Wrath.
Yeah.
Meh.
I don't think that card's very good.
I just saw that and I don't know. Maybe I like it for EDH.
I think it's going to fall into the same trap as Justice Strike, where people played it week 1 because they're like, oh, this card's really good. And then they slowly cut down from 3 to 2 to 1 to none. And I think it's going to fall in that same trap. I also think Time Wipe is really, like, meh. But I think I'd rather just run Kaya's Wrath. But I guess returning my Augur of Bolas and then killing everything.
It's only 1 mana more than Wrath of God. And I think we're used to, as EDH players, playing 5-mana Wraths with a little upside. And I think the bounce could be the best upside we've seen.
I would play it in EDH over Wrath of God because I play Gear Hulk, and I would totally love to bounce my Gear Hulk to Wrath. That sounds great.
You don't have to bounce a creature either, right?
Yeah, you do. You have to return a creature you control to its owner's hand.
Oh, you have
but
to
it
have
doesn't
a creature in play?
Target.
It doesn't have... I don't think it has to have a target.
It doesn't have a target, so I think it goes off to the best of its ability.
Judge.
Because
it doesn't say return target creature. It says return a creature.
Yeah, so if you don't have one,
you don't have a target.
Yeah, it's still.
That's like saying someone says like return 2 lands, and if you only have 1 land, you just do what you can.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's a 5-mana Wrath.
I wish I knew how Magic cards worked.
I think it's just like with Kaya's Wrath that we just like don't really need it. But I
Sure.
guess like if you really want to play just blue-white, you can return your Augur of Bolas to your hand.
Yep. Or your Gideon.
Or your Gideon, even though it doesn't even kill your Gideon. I wonder if it would force you to return your Gideon.
No, but like you could also just like bounce your Gideon, then replay it, and then plus it.
Sure. That sounds kind of win more. Sure.
I agree.
But I guess like it's a valid play.
Maybe he had one loyalty left.
Now, we should talk about my favorite rare in the set. Not my favorite card, because my like 3 favorite cards are not rare, but my favorite rare has to be Casualties of War as an EDH player. They fixed the Decimate problem. The Decimate problem was...
You'd have one for each, right?
Yeah, it's just what we were talking about. It's like destroy a land and a creature and an artifact.
And if one of them goes away, it fizzles?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was like Hex. I would draft Hex, and I was like, I kill 6 creatures, and then it's like, sorry, you could have killed 3 of your own creatures, kill 3 of theirs.
Yeah.
If those are the only creatures
Hex
in play.
is like the perfect Magic card.
Yeah. And Casualties of War fixed the Decimate problem, where like it can't go off if you don't have a target. You can just not pick that mode. So in EDH, you're going to destroy an artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and planeswalker. You're just gonna. And it probably won't be any of yours. If you're the only one with a planeswalker, then just don't do it. So it's 6 mana, which is steep, but it's very good. I can't wait to blow up all the stuff. And I'm getting one for all of my decks that run green-black. I don't know. DJ, you run green-black. Do you like this card?
I actually don't, and I feel like I'm going to get a bunch of hate mail for saying it.
I think it's fine in EDH.
But what Golgari do you run? You run Savra?
I actually took apart my Savra deck. The only current deck I have right now that has both green and black is Thantis.
Okay.
But I'm picturing my old Golgari or my old Glissa deck or my old Gerard deck, my old Nath deck. I would probably play this in Nath, but that's about it. And that's just because my Nath deck didn't have a lot of spot removal, and my Nath deck cared more about like specific surgical precision than like outright wrathing. So like most decks, I don't think want this because it's so expensive.
I ran Gaze of Granite in Nath.
Yeah,
and this is better than that.
But I didn't run Gaze of Granite either. I don't like this card, but I don't fault people for playing it. I think people are gonna be excited about it. I like that they fixed the Decimate problem too.
Yeah, I do like that part because I really enjoyed screwing people over when they try to cast Decimate.
So
this will be a card you can actually play in Limited.
Yeah. So one thing we did want to talk about before the pre-release was just the overall general power level of this set being significantly higher than the sets we've seen in the past. I remarked on Twitter that I felt like this set was almost new Phyrexia or Zendikar levels of just raw power and efficiency in cards. Not that there was anything necessarily broken in the set, like there's obviously no Phyrexian mana, there's obviously no Kaladeshi and Smuggler's Copters or free spells or any absurdity like that. And I do trust play design to be able to cultivate an efficient and multi-deck standard environment, but just from a financial perspective of cards being stronger and more power level for their rarity, like we see common cards that reference planeswalkers, we see cards that uncommon, like we're surprised to be like, oh wait, that's an uncommon, not a rare, wow. And so specifically regarding that during the pre-release or any other limited events you might go to, just picking up uncommons as a whole, as opposed to being like, oh, these are the 10 uncommons I want from this set. These are the 10 to 15 good uncommons, obviously. The rest are limited chaff. Just as a whole, the power level of uncommons in the set being significantly higher.
Pick up anything with the legendary border, any uncommon. Just don't dump anything in a draft chaff. I think like there's a lot of really just stupidly good uncommons, like Evolution Sage and Flux Channeler are both uncommon. Paradise Druid's uncommon. Right.
Like
it's a nutty set.
There are some uncommons where you just say, oh, this is obviously limited chaff. Like Leyline Prowler, for example, is the black green signal post card for limited, where it's the Golgari card. It's a limited role player, but like Angrat's Rampage, I thought was a rare the first time I read it. Dispark, I thought was a rare the first time I read it. Death Sprout is a cube all-star. Cruel Celebrate, there's gonna be some sort of Aristocrat shell in the next 2 years. Like, there's just all these uncommon cards that you don't want to be, like, at a GP at a standard event and then paying $2 per Angrat's Rampage and then never using them again after that. Like, you just want to have these cards in your collection and readily available for when you need them instead of having to overpay.
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. I think this set is like really hard to evaluate. Every card seems powerful and like it could be played somewhere.
Yep.
Or like at least most, especially Uncommons Plus. And I think that it's gonna be very hard to figure out which ones are actually good until we see the set actually being played in Standard.
Yep. So I don't think this is as much of a like pick out the obvious uncommons out of your bulk kind of thing. Like Dominaria, it's like, oh, you get your Wizard's Lightnings, you get your Wizard's Retorts, you get your get you Lava Mancers. These are the ones that are obviously pushed for Standard, and that benchmark is just thrown out the water. Like, your Flux Channelers, you want your Prison Realms, you want your Paradise Druids, you want your you might want your Eternal Taskmasters for Standard. For Zombies, you might want your just everything. So don't be afraid to just hoard commons and uncommons.
So real quick, I want to go down. I sorted by price high to low, and I just want to quiz you guys on some cards. What do you think? Is it going to go up or down in price? Nico Bull is at 24.
I think it's going to go down.
Down, but not by much.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think the card's really powerful. I think that the mana is really good in the set, which makes it pretty playable. And I think that, but I don't think it's going to stay that price. That's really high. And I don't think that, like, while Grixis has a lot of, like, support, I don't think it's going to be that good.
Ilharg at 12.
Down by a lot.
I think so, too. I think the card's very good, but it's going to be a card that enables a lot more prices to go up. I like Ilharg as sort of like this sets a tally. I think the Ilharg is going to go in my tally deck versus me building the Ilharg deck, though. But it's already made some expensive creatures like Blightsteel go up even more than they already were. So I think this could be a good EDH enabler, but like we don't really care about the price of the Mythic itself. We care about the cards that it makes go up, which is why Feather was so good. I don't know what Feather's going to end up costing, probably $2 or $3, but the fact that Feather's already made a bunch of $2 cards, $10 cards, I'm really
I think Feather's actually going to be very, very good.
In Standard?
Like in Standard.
Yeah, like in Standard, I think that card's going to be very good. I think that there's a Heroic deck. I think that it just makes the Heroic deck so much better. It's only a 3-drop with really good mana. You get to reuse your pump spells over and over again, and it's like card advantage in a deck that always failed in the card advantage engine.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Yep. I think that card's going to be very good.
The Green Finale?
At what?
I think
it's at I scrolled away from it. I'm dumb.
$10, right?
It's $10.50.
Down.
I think it'll go down, but I do think it's really good.
Yeah, it is. I don't know if I like it in the decks where I'm running Green Sun Zenith better than Green Sun Zenith, because I actually really do like the possibility of that turn 1 Dread Arbor, but
I think it just goes in there with them, because it's also like being able to get the cards from your graveyard. I feel like in EDH, because you're running a bunch of 1-ofs, you're just like, crap, like it's in my yard, shit, I don't know what to do. And you're running Ewit and things like that, but this like card just like helps you. I feel like the functionality of being able to get things out of your graveyard in EDH is really, really good. I don't think we'll see Modern play or Legacy play, but I think it will see Standard play.
So it looks like there's only 14 cards pre-selling more than $5, and as we see with the other set, we're only going to have maybe like 11 or 12 that are over $5. So it seems like the value is apportioned correctly. So I think anything that moves out of the top 10, is going to promote something else. Maybe God Eternal Ronus at $4.50 could be something that gets above $5 and knocks something else out. I'm not really sure. But it just seems like they might have done a better job guessing the prices they do on most sets. And I think the fact that there's so many Planeswalkers attenuates Planeswalker tax and makes everything a little more clear. Any final thoughts?
I have a favorite flavor text card.
Is it the cat?
No. It's Chandra's Triumph. The flavor text is, her triumph came not from achieving her ideal self, but from rejecting the idea of perfection. I just thought it was the most Chandra flavor text I'd ever read.
That is. I did like the responses to Mark Rosewater's... It was either Rosewater or Forsyth, I can't remember, but he was like, oh, Dovin's not dying, he's being bound by flames. And everybody just replied, like, that's not how fire works.
Yeah. Oh, I'm being bound by these flames so hard. I can't get away from the fire that's completely encompassed my whole body.
Yeah,
That sounds like you tell your kids, like, no, that man in the intersection's not dying, sweetie. He's just getting a hug from that fire.
Oh, wow. Yeah, pretty much. Or like scary movies. Yep.
I don't really like the art for any of the Triumph cards, personally.
I like that they all have, like, it's, like, half their face. I think it's just, like, really cool, like, the way that they did it, where it's, like, half their face, and they're just kind of, like, sitting there, like, smug. And so I like that, but I also agree. I don't love any of them, but I like how they're all consistent, and they kind of, like, have this, like, smug look.
But it was the same artist did all 5.
Yeah, I think they look really cool.
I like the Bond Cycle a lot.
I love the Bond Cycle. Like, it's so flavorful. There's so much. I normally don't care that much about flavor, but the fact that it's like the cards, all of the abilities on them actually go with both of the guilds, and you can see both the guilds in the picture, and I think it's so cool. I think they're awesome. I think they're great. But yeah.
Seb McKinnon knocked out of the park on this set. There's just so many things about this set that are great.
Massacre Girl. Everybody's really excited about Massacre Girl.
I think she'll be really good.
And what?
I think she'll be good. We'll see, like, her at, like, the top end of some, like, that's actually a great question. Well, I'm gonna sit here and think for a second. I think that she's just, like, by herself really good. She's a 5-mana 4/4 with Menace. And then, but then, like, on top of that, it's, like, she's really good against all, like, the weenie decks. Sure. And against, and she just, like, gets better. You kill, like, 1/1/1, and all of a sudden she just gets out of control.
It's a chain reaction, yeah. Yeah,
the fact that she just can, like, escalate so far and she still sticks around is kind of wild to me. So I think she needs a home, but I think that like the power level of that card individually is there.
I think what's hard to evaluate about this set is there's so many cards that are stupidly powerful but so narrow they won't affect anything.
Yeah, like the Elder Spell.
Like if someone... Yeah, the Elder Spell, exactly. If someone plays the Elder Spell against you in Limited and blows out like 3 Planeswalkers, you're going to be like, what the fucking F is this card? And then I would never put that in a deck ever.
Yeah, the most I would do is maybe put a couple in the sideboard. But it's not going to like go in the main deck. Unless you're playing like specifically Super Friends, but even then, like, no.
It helps to be playing against Super Friends also?
Yeah. It's very niche. But, I think that, like we were saying before, like, all of the cards of, like, high power level is just, like, trying to find the right shell for them. I think it's going to make Standard very interesting.
Yep.
Are there any decks you kind of see emerging?
I think we'll see Black-White Knights again. That came around, like, a year-ish ago.
It was, like, day 1 Dominaria.
Yeah, and I think that deck was really good. I think we could see that again.
So what cards will be in that deck?
We'll see Sorin. We'll see the Gideon. We'll see the Knight, the Black Knight and the White Knight cards. We'll see the 3-mana enchantment, the Saga that's now the history. Potentially we could see the Legion's Landing, maybe. But I think you get that. You get like the 2-mana 3/1 that gets indestructible, that you can give it indestructible if you pay 4 life.
Yeah.
I'm blanking.
What about the Knight Legendary? The one that like can kill a creature if its power is less than the number of knights you have?
I don't think Ariel is as good as the Planeswalkers in the set.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think... you probably don't need her if you've got Planeswalkers. Okay, I'm just... now, what about like a Simic type deal? Like a Hadana's Climb type with all the proliferate you have and...
Yeah, I think we will definitely see that. Because you just have like you still have Crisis. You have a bunch of... You have the new Tamia. Not the Tamia, the new Kiora. And she helps ramp things. So I think you'll see like Kiora, you'll see like Hydroid Crisis. You can see all your like Explorer creatures. I think you could even see that become like a Soul Tie deck with Soul Diviner. I think that card's actually like really good and just needs the right shell. I think Soul Diviner is actually nuts. Like Jerry Thompson wrote like an article on it, and I was reading it, and I was like, he was like really selling me that I think that card's like actually nuts with how many counters there are in Standard.
Yeah, even if removing it from stuff you control, it's pretty trivial to put it back on, especially if you got something like the Evolution Sage, where you can just like, okay, I put 6 cards worth of counters back on everything just by playing a land.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just like get to keep drawing cards, and I think that card's really good.
And even if you don't have green, you have Flux Channeler in those colors in like a blue-black type deal.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that I think there's gonna be a lot of decks. I think there's gonna be like some blue-black mid-range decks. So we'll see some more like sewer decks. I think we'll see some people trying to like make Simic, Hadana's Climb work. I think we'll always see Sultai mid-range until Carnage Tyrant rotates. We'll see Sultai, and the Explorer mechanic rotates. We'll see Sultai mid-range.
So you see like maybe like Jade Light Ranger or something like that having some upside price-wise?
No, it's a Challenger deck. It's dead.
Oh, Challenger's shit. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that sucks.
Yep.
It doesn't. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really. I sell more of it at a lower price, so I'm fine with it. And the Challenger deck makes it so people will bring me 3 or 4 at a time when it was tougher to bring me that much before. So actually, I don't hate it. I was holding a bunch when the reprint happened, and that sucks. But like, still, I know my sales are going to go up, so it's fine.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm not sure after that. I feel like there's like a lot of like all the blue planeswalkers seem powerful, but don't really seem like they have anywhere to go, and so I'm interested to see how people make them work.
Yeah, I sort of like some of these are like, oh, this is a version of an enchantment I was already playing, and now I have another ability that I can use a couple times. Like Kiora, I was already playing the Temur Ascendancy, so I'm like, oh, it's a Temur Ascendancy where I can untap a permanent 6 times. That seems pretty good.
Like that actually seems very good. I think there will be like a Saheeli, like the Arclight Phoenix deck will start running Saheelis and have like an alternate game plan for all like their instants and sorceries. So like the Arclight Enigma Drake deck or Drake deck. I think Saheeli is actually really good in there because you can also turn your little servos into Arclight Phoenixes.
Oh. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I like Saheeli a lot because like people were playing what's his name? The Psy Master Thopterist, and I think this is actually a little bit better than that in some situations in like Vintage. Not that Vintage matters. Get your Japanese foil Saheeli now, but like
I think it will be really good in Standard. We'll see. It'll see a lot of play. I think that the Standard's going to be like Standard's still kind of wide open right now, but you have some like defined archetypes. I think that this set's actually just going to make it even more wide open and just strengthen the archetypes that are already there.
I think there are some traps too. I think the Ugin's Conjurant thing.
That's funny, but yeah.
Celestial Kirin was kind of tech back in the day, but I don't think it's that great now.
I am inclined to agree. I think people will try to make the mill deck work with Ashiok and that one. There's like the enchantments. There's like a bunch of different ways to like mill people. So I think people will actually try to make mill work, but I think it's gonna be trash.
My wife is gonna be really sad when you say that.
I'm sorry, but I'm very advocate
everything's
of being
3
honest.
mana in the deck.
Exactly.
Like everything's 3.
Mm-hmm. And that just gets very clunky.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's gonna be a really interesting set.
You need like a Glimpse the Unthinkable type spell, or even like Tome Scour, something like that. You need stuff like that tier to be legal for the deck to really do anything.
Yep.
Agreed. Like we need like another Startled Awake. And that was called Startled Awake was the one from Shadows.
Yeah.
And there was that mill deck, and that mill deck still kind of sucked. So
if you have a mill 10, your mill deck's bad, then
yeah, it's not going so hot.
Stop trying to make it happen.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how the set goes, but those are all the cards that I've really
cool
thought about.
Well, thanks for coming on. This has been a much more enjoyable set review than some of our past ones.
Yeah, some of them get pretty tedious when you're just going through the set by price and talking about every card. And then we spent a long time talking about how this could be good, but only 10 cards in the set are going to be that good. So,
Kat, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, I'm always on Twitter at HellcatMTG, and then sometimes I stream on Twitch at HellcatMTG. And then my team is Team in Lotus Box, so everyone should follow the team, keep up with all of us. And that's what I'm doing right now.
Cool. Jason, where can people find you?
I'm on Twitter at JasonEalt. I'm the host of this podcast. I'm the co-host of a podcast on the They Said We Said network called Director's Cut that you might enjoy. And I write for MTG Price and Cool Stuff Inc. And that's it. Just those a million things.
And this is Douglas Johnson. Everybody calls me DJ. I am a buyer on the GP circuit at 95 MTG. You can stop by and find me at pretty much every North American GP, save for a couple. I will be at GP Indianapolis with Jason and Corbin, and we will be having a big party for our patrons and our listeners and our supporters and pretty much everybody that's ever helped out this cast. So if you can make it to GP Indy, then you should definitely hit that up on Saturday night. And
it's a week after Vegas, which kind of sucks. But I mean, if you're in the area,
I'll be there.
Why would you? Oh, cool.
I'll definitely be there.
Cool. And you can find me on Twitter at Rose of Thorns and on TCG Player as Card Garden. So thanks everyone for listening to Brainstorm Brewery. This has been episode 336, which is too many.
That's over 7 years of podcasting. We're still not good at it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to take for us to get to the next level. But what you can do is you can support us for $0 if you don't feel like going to patreon.com/brainstormbrewery and giving us as little as $1 a month. What you can do is go to the YouTube. If you're not liked and subscribed, thumbs up or thumbs down our video. Like, subscribe, finger blast that bell icon so you get a notification every time we do a new episode of the podcast, or less predictably, something special like the brain bites that we do, where we go
giveaway
in
video and the giveaway video that we do this week, because we did hit 2,000 YouTube subscribers. Thank everybody so much. We will be putting that video up this week, so somebody's gonna win. 5 people are gonna win some playmats and a binder.
Yeah, so we do all kind of stuff like that, so you definitely do want to be subscribed to us on YouTube, because it's not just the podcast.
It's a lifestyle.
On YouTube, it's
It's a lifestyle.
Have a good night, everybody.